Imagine your mind is like a radio station that's constantly blaring a playlist of worst-case scenarios, regrets, and never-ending what-ifs. The volume is cranked up so high, it's hard to hear your own voice of reason. That's what overthinking feels like, a constant stream of mental noise that sucks the life out of your energy, steals your focus, and leaves you feeling paralyzed. But here's the thing, you don't have to live this way. In his groundbreaking book, Feeling Good, The New Mood Therapy, Dr. David Burns presents science-backed strategies that will help you silence the noise and take back control of your mind. In this video, we're going to explore those powerful techniques, secrets that have helped millions of people break free from the chains of overthinking. The foundation: overthinking is a habit, not a life sentence. The first thing you need to understand is that overthinking isn't some unchangeable part of your personality. It's not a life sentence, it's a habit. And just like any other habit, it can be broken. This is where Dr. Burns' revolutionary concept of cognitive distortions comes in. Cognitive distortions are mental traps that twist reality into something much darker and more stressful. Think of them as bugs in the software of your mind, glitches that cause your brain to interpret situations in the worst possible light. For example, one common distortion is catastrophizing. This is where your mind convinces you that a minor setback is actually a total disaster. Let's say you make a small mistake at work. Instead of brushing it off, you spiral into thoughts like, I'm going to get fired, or this will ruin my career. Another distortion is mind reading. This one tricks you into believing you know exactly what others are thinking, and usually it's not good. You might think, everyone in the room is judging me, or they must think I'm an idiot. These distortions are more than just annoying. They're toxic. They fuel anxiety, crush your confidence, and keep you stuck in cycles of doubt. But here's the thing. The moment you learn to recognize these distortions for what they are, they lose their grip on you. Cognitive distortions explained. Recognizing the traps in your mind, Dr. Burns identifies several key cognitive distortions that are responsible for much of our overthinking, all or nothing thinking. This distortion makes you see everything in black and white. There's no middle ground. If something isn't perfect, it's a total failure. For example, if you're trying to lose weight and have a cheat meal, you might think, I've ruined my diet. I'll never lose weight. In reality, one meal won't make or break your progress, but this type of thinking blows it out of proportion. Overgeneralization. When one bad thing happens, this distortion convinces you that it will keep happening over and over again. For instance, if you get a rejection from a job you applied for, you might think, I'll never get hired anywhere, even though it's just one instance. Mental filtering. This is when you focus only on the negatives and completely ignore the positives. You could have a day where 99 things go right, but if one thing goes wrong, that's all you can think about. The positive experiences are filtered out as if they don't matter. Discounting the positive. Even when something good happens, you downplay it or tell yourself it doesn't count. Maybe you get a compliment, but you think they're just being nice, or you achieve a goal, but immediately tell yourself it's not a big deal. You're jumping to conclusions. This includes mind reading and fortune telling. You assume you know what others are thinking or predict the future, usually in a negative way. Mind reading makes you believe that people are judging you harshly, even when there's no evidence. Fortune telling convinces you that things will go badly in the future, even though you can't know that for sure. Magnification and minimization. This distortion is like looking at life through a funhouse mirror. You blow small problems out of proportion, magnification, or you shrink your achievements and qualities until they seem insignificant, minimization. Emotional reasoning. This happens when you believe that your emotions reflect reality. For example, if you feel anxious, you conclude that something bad must be about to happen. Or, if you feel insecure, you assume you're worthless even though feelings are not facts. Should statements. You criticize yourself with statements like, I should do this, or I shouldn't have done that, creating unrealistic expectations for yourself. When you don't meet these expectations, you feel guilty or frustrated. Labeling and mislabeling. Instead of describing an error in the moment, you attach a negative label to yourself, like I'm such a failure or I'm useless, which makes the situation seem permanent and unchangeable. Personalization: you blame yourself for things that are outside your control, or you believe that everything others do or say is some kind of reaction to you, even when it isn't. Recognizing these distortions is the first step to overcoming overthinking. Once you see them for what they are, distorted thinking patterns, they lose their power. You begin to realize that your thoughts aren't always reliable, and you can challenge them. The triple column technique. Rewriting the narrative. One of the most powerful tools Dr. Burns offers is the triple column technique. This method is designed to help you identify and dismantle cognitive distortions, then replace them with more balanced, realistic thoughts. It's like giving your mind a software update, removing the bugs and replacing the flawed code with clarity and compassion. Here's how it works. Grab a piece of paper or open a note on your phone and divide the page into 3 columns. In the first column, write down the thought that's causing you distress. Maybe it's something like, "I'll never succeed at this project." In the second column, label the cognitive distortion behind the thought. Is it catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking, mind reading? By naming the distortion, you force your brain to see the thought as a flawed pattern, not a fact. In the third column, rewrite the thought using logic and kindness. Replace "I'll never succeed" with something like, "I've faced challenges before and overcome them. I'll take this project step by step and give it my best shot." This practice rewires your brain to approach challenges with a clearer, more rational mindset. Research has shown that this simple practice can reduce anxiety by as much as 50% in just a few weeks. Why? Because it forces your mind to stop running on autopilot. You're no longer accepting every thought as the truth. Instead, you're actively challenging and reframing them, training your brain to think more clearly and compassionately. Problem solving via rumination. How to break the cycle. Another key insight from Dr. Burns is the distinction between problem solving and rumination. Overthinkers often confuse the two. Problem solving is productive. It leads to action, making a plan, asking for help, or taking steps to improve a situation. Rumination, on the other hand, is just mental spinning. It keeps you stuck, replaying the same thoughts over and over again without reaching any conclusions. One way to break the rumination cycle is through a mental cost-benefit analysis. When you catch yourself ruminating, pause and ask yourself, is this thought helping or hurting me? Write down the pros and cons of holding onto it. For example, if you're obsessing over a mistake you made, the pros might be that you feel like you're learning from it, but the cons, stress, wasted time, eroded confidence, almost always outweigh the pros. Once you see the toll rumination is taking on you, it becomes easier to let go. Applying the triple column technique in real life. Let's make this concrete with a real-life example. Imagine you're lying awake at night, replaying a conversation where you stumbled over your words. Your brain starts screaming. They think you're incompetent. They'll never take you seriously again. This is a classic case of mind reading and catastrophizing. Here's how you can apply the triple column technique to diffuse the thought. First, write down the troubling thought. They think I'm incompetent. Next, label the distortion, mind reading and catastrophizing. Finally, rewrite the thought. I don't know what they think, but I was well prepared. And even if they noticed my stumble, it doesn't define me. I'll focus on what I can control going forward. Suddenly, the thought loses its grip. You've turned a spiral of negativity into a moment of reflection and self-compassion. This is the power of Dr. Burns' techniques in action. Mindful detachment. Learning to let go. Another game changer from feeling good is the concept of mindful detachment. Dr. Burns teaches that while you can't always control the thoughts that pop into your head, you can control how you respond to them. Instead of engaging with every negative thought, treat them like spam emails. Acknowledge them, but hit delete. For instance, when your mind starts spiraling into a "what if I fail?" or "what if everything goes wrong?" say a cancel out loud. Yes, it might feel silly at first, but it works. By interrupting the thought, you remind yourself that you have the power to reject it. Then, ground yourself in the present moment using a simple mindfulness exercise. Identify 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, and 3 things you can physically feel. This 5-4-3 technique pulls you out of your mind and into your surroundings, helping you regain control and calm. Your mind is not your master. The key takeaway here is simple but profound. Overthinking is like paying interest on a debt you don't even owe. The more you entertain these thoughts, the more they snowball. But Dr. Burns' strategies aren't about suppressing thoughts or pretending they don't exist. They're about taking back control of your mental space. By recognizing cognitive distortions, reframing your thoughts, and practicing mindful detachment, you can transform your mind from a battlefield into a place of peace and clarity. Conclusion: you hold the remote, so the next time you catch yourself trapped in a cycle of overthinking, remember, you're holding the remote. You can change the station. Start small, challenge just one thought today. Write it down, break it apart, and reframe it with compassion. Over time, these small actions will build up into a profound sense of mental freedom.